Hey flight simmers, welcome back to the channel. In the last video we connected this panel with 3 Korry switches to the flight sim. We made all the configurations in MobiFlight, but if we want to use this concept from the last video with all the other large panels, we are running into a problem very quickly. Each of the Korry switches has its own ground pin to the connector. And if we want to connect several Korry switches or potentiometers to our Arduino board, we are running out of ground pins very quickly, because on the Arduino Mega there are just 5 ground pins. And just imagine if we want to connect a large panel like this one. By the way, there are many requests about this particular panel. I know that you want to have it so badly, but unfortunately, I have to give you some more information about this panel and how it works. And if I make this design public, my inbox will explode with questions about it. Please bear with me. I will give you the information you need to understand this panel over the next few episodes, and then I will publish this panel. But here are several Korry switches, potentiometers and so on, and it's very hard to connect this panel without any additional ground pins to one Arduino. To solve this problem, I'm using this prototype board for the Arduino Mega. These are really cheap to get and really flexible with its connectivity. To mount it, just place it on top of the Arduino. Make sure that you don't bend any of the pins. And now you're able to create your own circuits on top of this board. And I already created the panel or the prototype board of today's video. And here you can see that there are several connectors soldered to this prototype board. Here are these JST XH connectors are for power supply, for potentiometers for example. These have ground and +5 volts. And this row over here, these are all ground pins. And that's the reason why I splitted the extension wires for the Korry switches, the ground pin and the power supply and the signal wires, because now I'm able to connect the I/O pins to the board and the ground pin to this row of ground pins. And now I have much more ground pins available. And a nice side effect about these prototype boards is that you can remove them from the Arduino, use the Arduino for a different project, but don't lose your pin assignment on the board. And if you want to use your panel again, just mount the prototype board on top of the Arduino, load the configuration to it, and don't care about any wrong pin assignments. That's really nice about these prototype boards. You will find a link to it in the description. And for all the other components like the connectors as well, just have a look in the description. Now you know about today's task. If you're new to the channel, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell, and of course watch all the other videos to bring yourself up to speed. But for now, just heat up your soldering iron and let's get to work. These are the materials we need today. Of course, the circuit board, some JST XH connectors, and these female Dupond connectors for the circuit board. I already cut it to size. Just use your plier to cut these to length. And I will start with these female connectors on the circuit board. Unfortunately, on the right side from pin number 22 up to 52 and on the other side there are no female connectors, so I will add some of them. On top there is a 5 volts. I will not add a female connector to it, and I will just use the first of the ground pins on the bottom side. And right now I'm just soldering the connectors to the board. Now I attached the female connectors to the I/O pins. Let's go on with the row for the ground pins. And now I'm inserting the JST XH connectors on the bottom. As you can see, I've aligned all the JST connectors with the lock to the right side. And now I'm soldering all the connectors to the board. Now all the connectors are soldered to the board, and let's go on with the connection. First I will link all the ground pins with each other, and for this I'm using a solid tin-plated copper wire, a diameter of 0.8 millimeters. Okay, now all the ground pins are connected with each other. And let's do the same again with both of the rows of the JST connectors. Now both of the rows of the JST connectors are connected with each other, and so we are able to do the wiring to 5 volts and to ground. For this I will use my regular 0.25 square millimeter copper wire. And the 5 volts will be on the upper side of the JST connectors, and I will get it from the upper 5 volt pad. And now I'm using this excess wire to bend it over and connect it to the rail of the plus 5 volts. And let's do this again with ground. For this I'm using my black 0.25 square millimeter wire. And I'm connecting the black wire to this lower ground pad. And again, use this axis wire to bend it over and connect to the rail of the ground pins. And the upper one is the connection for 5 volts and the bottom one to ground. And we need another ground connection between ground and the upper row of the female Dupond connectors. And for this, I'm just using this rail over here underneath the JST connectors and do a connection with a wire between this row and the row for the female Dupond connectors. And now there is a connection to ground for the upper row for the female Dupond connectors and the 5 volts for the JST connectors. And very important, before you plug it onto your Arduino board, please check it with a multimeter that you don't have created a short. Let's start with a ground connection. Check all the pins. Very important, check if there is a connection between the ground pin and the plus 5 volts. Alright, that's not the case. Let's check it to the 5 volts. One more check. Let's check the connection between the ground and this row. Okay. Alright, I haven't created a short. That's very important. You have to be very careful about this. I'm not responsible to any damages that are occurring to your Arduino or to your computer. You have to be really careful with that. But now I've created this board, the extension board, with all the connectors we need in the future. And now let's connect it to the Arduino board, and then we are finished with this episode. Here is the Arduino board, our prototype board, and now you can simply connect it to the Arduino. Make sure that you don't bend any of these connector pins. Okay, and now we are finished and we are able to connect multiple of our components to the Arduino board with the power supply and all the ground pins. We are at the end of this video, and with our prototype board we created today, we made a huge leap forward to the point where we are able to connect a large panel like this one to our flight sim. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you do have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, and see you in the next video.